These windows are pretty, giving a decorative frame and access to the foliage outside of it. And this an intimate little corner. I wonder if something would have been set up here, if you would have set a chair up or something. One of the good things about the tour groups, they force me to slow down, stop, and look around at what there is for interesting detail. This painting may be of one of the 5 holy mountains, which foreshadows where I'll be in a few days in Xi'an, where I'll go to Huangsheng Mountain, which is one of those 5. This room, which is a richly decorated room in its own, look at the detail on those window patterns. We'll get closer to those in a few moments. But look at this mother of pearl inlay with some kind of stones for the seats and the backs, but a whole set of it like this, which must have epitomized huge amounts of wealth. This looks like it's all wood carved. Carved. Here a small pan just for the interplay of architectural features and colors and designs. Overseen by huge cedars, we're now back to where that long, narrow building was that crossed the entire complex, and that's this one here. I wish that I could do it without the tour group, but that doesn't seem like it's going to be possible. So I'll just get it done and move on. And now I think we're standing at the lower left of this panel you're looking at now. And it looks like it's going to be the huge garden area with maybe a water feature also. What will probably be somewhat impressive is that everything we're going to see in the way of elevation, since Beijing doesn't already have that much, is going to be manufactured by the architects. This may have been how someone of his stature got the kind of ambience that I think is essential in life, and that's the connection with nature. I don't know where I'm going here. No one else is. A portal. I'm leaving the camera on so that you can experience what I'm experiencing. Ni hao. Also, we're able to avoid the tour groups this way. So here's the highest point, probably. And a very beautiful view it did give, particularly when it was just yours and you could command that no one be present so you could enjoy it by yourself. Certainly strolling in his garden must have been fantastic if we can subtract the tourists and the commercialization from the scene. But you wonder if he could just enjoy being paddled about, for example. A relatively small pond, but it might have given some sense of pleasure. These are naturally occurring stalactites, not naturally occurring here, of course. Although they don't really look it. They look like they're that composite material I've seen before. It's interesting. It's kind of like a reverse bridge in that it's concave rather than the normal convex arched type. So the architectural theory here is that this is a square pond, which is reminiscent of Earth, and a square pavilion in the pond. This pond is fed by springs, apparently, from the mountains, which is an interesting story in itself, I would imagine. And here were steps going down to the water, presumably giving them access to one of the boats. This may just be an attempt to keep this water alive, green looking, which suggests algae, but maybe this keeps it aerated. Certainly a colony of ducks are provided. This little panel's just hidden behind a couple of telephone booths and above some electrical panels. I wonder how original it is. This is another pinnacle area in the on the grounds, with all created, I'm sure. The hall. This icon I've seen before. The Chinese crane. The press of tour groups is so phenomenal here that you can, some places, hardly move, and you're just like moving through a herd of wildebeest if you happen to go in the wrong or the opposite direction. They'll kind of spread for you, but you got to elbow your way through too. This is interesting because of the two sloped ramps coming up. You can see that the idea for rock sculpture that's even current today came with considerable precedent. This made his ascent easy, particularly if there were people to carry him up. Here's kind of an intimate little area, garden space. And there's some interesting panels that reflect graphics for birds, it looks like. And the red lanterns giving a nice touch. And too intimate for the tour groups. And the rock sculptures everywhere. Very, very pretty. It must have been incredible when it was super maintained and very quiet. This is a pretty little spot in one of those covered walkways. Just because the painting and so forth looks so old. These panels almost look European in design. And depending on when they were done, they may well reflect such an influence. These beautiful circular doorways. Why we don't use them more, I don't know. There's another pretty area with these windows that are painted with different designs of the window themselves, the frames, and then painted. And they may have tried to reflect what was done back here in this little area where I'll sit down for a moment. Kind of pretty with these trees. And that oval, very pretty, very lovely oval window looking down to a circular one. How cool is that? Certainly this would have been a lovely walkway. A couple of stylized lion demons, if you will. These willows are referred to as the drooping green shade, and the four Chinese pagoda trees in front of the floral lintel gate, wherever that is, provide cool shade with their canopy and dense foliage in summer. Two on the ice side are found to be over 300 years old, 200 years old. This is what they must be referring to here. By staying away from the central area, get a little bit of tranquility in these side areas. Here, a garden perhaps for the folks who work here, maybe even live here. Certainly enough money made in this place. At 40 yuan a pop, that's like $6 a pop. This place is packed. This is a weekday. It's not even a Chinese holiday. Now this interpretive sign attempts to suggest that this is an original. Perhaps it is. This is interesting where a panel of Chinese probably gives some important or appropriate saying for this environment. I'm going to walk through here with the camera on because you'll get a sense of what a lovely environment's been created here. This, in fact, may have actually been a small falls. As with this. Chinese tourists now being brought to Prince Gong's place by a rickshaw. This is Disneyland in the China mode. Chinese tourists now being brought to Prince Gong's place by a rickshaw. This is Disneyland in the China mode. I'm walking down a quiet street that should take me down to the lakes and the silver ingot bridge that I want to see. It's going along that street, Long Tu Jing Jie, and turned left, and I just entered Bei Hai Park. It goes down along here like this, but also when I switch to map 3, you can see it goes up there starting above the 3, up to the right and then down, which is where I want to go to get to the white Begaba Temple and Jade Island.